Welcome is happy anniversary to all Nigerians, wherever you're watching us from. It's the 64th anniversary of the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria, and I'm so happy to be from this blessed country. As we celebrate Nigeria's democratic journey, we'll be looking at Nigeria's journey thus far, and how well it has been. The highs and lows of this journey is what we'll be looking at on today's exciting edition of the program, The Desk. Usually we'll be going to the global scene and looking at other sub-national levels, but today we're focusing strictly on Nigeria's 64th anniversary and what is being expected. Already, Mr. President did speak to Nigerians today, picking out very key issues. One of them being the fact that there's going to be a 30-day conference for the youths, where the youth's challenges will be the focus point. And also he talked about the $30 million in direct investment that was brought in by this government, and it's also the issue of insecurity facing the country, where he gave kudos to the security agencies for killing over 300 terrorist commanders across the countries. And not forgetting this harsh economic situation facing the country, the reason why this year's Independence Day is on a low key. So we'll be looking at this issue, and one man who has the task of helping us look at the past and the present is no other person but the NNPP candidate in the 2023 senatorial elections in Zamfara State. His name, Umar Yuguda, is my guest on today's edition, and who will be helping us to look at this very interesting talking point. Umar, thank you for joining us in the live studios.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's begin our discourse. It's no longer Nigeria is 64 years old, but looking at what the tenets and all the values our founding fathers had put together, the reason why they came together to ensure Nigeria's independence. And fast forward to this present day, how would you assess both eras?
Thank you very much, Mr. Anthony. First of all, I want to congratulate all Nigerians, regardless of the situation we are in. This is happy birthday, Nigeria. Happy independence. We hope that the future is better than what we are now. Coming to your question, I don't think if they should have, maybe if they're alive now, or they should come back
But to see what's happening, yeah.
I don't think they're going to be proud of what is really happening on the ground. Nigeria can do better, should have done more better than what we are now. If you look at other countries that we almost at the same time got independence. If you look at South Korea, if you look at Singapore, Malaysia, these are countries that are really far in everything regarding developmental and whatever it is that makes a country better for their citizens. Notwithstanding, we have our own share of milestones, some achievement we've made, but having a population of this 250 and going by the current situation on ground, I think the celebration today says it all, because I don't think people actually celebrate more like what they celebrated last year. And we just wish the government can actually understand the plight and understand that this is people's life. Nigeria belongs to everybody. Nigeria belongs to all of us, not unless some few people or the 1%. So I don't think, to be realistic, everybody is happy with the current situation, including myself and yourself here. So we have to tell ourselves the truth. There are a lot of solutions that we can actually advise, that we can, tell the government. We're even tired of complaining, because it's like you complain and it falls on a deaf ear.
Okay, talking about complaining and also talking about the government being aware of what Nigerians are going through. Mr. President did address the nation today, and he spoke about the fact that there was going to be a conference, 30-day conference, to address the challenges facing the youths. He talked about how he was aware of the sufferings of Nigerians, and that's one of the key reasons, according to also George Akume, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, that the President has instructed a low-key celebration because he wants to identify with the sufferings of Nigerians. Do you think that and other issues the President mentioned in his broadcast today was enough to make Nigerians feel that the government is aware of what they're going through, and Nigerians deserve to celebrate the 64th anniversary in such a low-key mode?
Mr. Anthony, before democracy, that's 1999, before 1999, somebody can travel from Sokoto to Maiduguri without fear of anything. Sokoto to Lagos. We have Dunlop, Michelin, all this company producing in Nigeria. The naira was actually doing well internationally. We have our factory garments and in Kano doing very well.
And in Kaduna.
In Kaduna, doing very well. We have all the 4 refineries working. And all our ports from Onne, Port Harcourt, Calabar, Owerri, these are all functioning in full capacity. So in less than 24 or 25 years, democracy took all this away. Before 1999, nobody was paying, the citizens are not paying tax to go to farm. You understand? So for the president, he has said things that are not actually what we feel are the solution right now, because most of his goals and his policies are long-term, not short-term, the current reality of the people.
But won't you say because the damage has been done over a long time, the president has no choice but to have a long-term solution to these problems?
Yes, that I can agree, because the damage has been done over the years.
Yes.
But we can't keep saying we wish it was before. A lot of policies are being copy and paste from other countries that are advanced than Nigeria. But that is on what they feel is actually good for the country. But if you look at other policies they should actually bring in terms of security, in terms of taking action on corruption, you don't see that. Somebody will go and steal and still be working free in this country because he's big in the system. So if that cannot be stopped, I don't think anything the youth will have to do in 30 days will make any difference, because I'm sure it might even be hijacked at the end of the day. It's a good effort to have that 30 days confab, as he said, and it's going to be an avenue where a lot of us will come out and actually voice our, give our own contribution as to the nation building. But that is if it's going to be implemented as it is, as the people, the youth contribute. If not, someone will just go and hijack it or whatever it is that will come up later. And again, as the country is, they will just say, this is Nigeria. At least they gave us a platform. And again, we couldn't achieve what we were supposed to. So for me, I don't think that is enough. What Nigerians need are immediate policies that would actually manifest at the grassroots level. People are dying every day. People are facing unprecedented hunger that they haven't faced before. And we keep hearing the president saying he's aware, he's going to be fine, he's going to, just like previous administration, the same thing our previous president keeps saying, and now we're here. What we are saying is, Mr. President, please, the reality on ground is actually more than what people are telling you. People are dying of hunger. In my place, people are really, really dying of hunger. People can't even sleep in their own houses. I don't think any youth in my state has any future that he can boast of now to say there's anything the state government is doing that
You're talking about the Zamfara state government?
Yes, I'm sure I'm talking about
but the president talked about insecurity, where he said a lot of kudos to the security agencies. They've killed over 300 terrorist commanders. Do you think the government has done enough to, stop the insecurity? We know insecurity is global, but that in Nigeria?
No, the government has tried, but it's not enough. The security apparatus are really trying, but I think being called the giant of Africa is not enough to see that you cannot travel between Funtua to Zamfara to Gusau without being blocked by bandits. Even on Friday, I'm supposed to travel on Friday, but I changed my schedule, and my friend that got on the road got kidnapped that same Friday by 2 o'clock. As I'm speaking here now, he's still in their hands trying to negotiate how he can regain his freedom. So the fight on this security is way more than they are taking it now, because we need to sustain the effort they are making now and continue to push more. Because if you look at now Zamfara State, we're having successes, a little bit of successes here and there, but it has stopped. We are not seeing the energy that was being put in the beginning in chasing these guys and trying to really bring them to justice. It has died down now. What you see now is the current governor accusing the former governor, all the back and forth going on between them, which we don't really need that now. We don't. All we need is to sustain the effort the security are doing now. The focus should be on the same thing that made them to start. Let us see how we're going to really, how far we can get. But this back and forth game, blame game, is not what is really going to help us.
Okay, let's move into in terms of education now, looking at Nigeria 64. In the previous years gone by, we were told how Nigerians had free education, had jobs waiting for them, even once they had graduated. Looking at this education sector, how pleased would you say you've been? The fact that the government has not been able to achieve that United Nations standard of 24% allocation of the budget to education sector, especially if you look at the litany of strike actions by ASU.
Yeah, it says everything. When you look at this education system in Nigeria, and you look at other aspects in terms of budget allocation, it tells you everything about the nation. A teacher now cannot boast, a primary school teacher cannot boast of earning a living, with his own salary to feed himself for a month. Not to talk about the lecturers or the professors now in the universities. Our schools now have been reduced to, universities have been reduced to almost nothing, because the zeal, and the fire that makes the lecturers, even when we are during our undergraduate, you don't see that in the universities now. You don't go to there and feel you're actually learning in the school, because the lecturers and the student, nobody even knows what he's doing at the moment now, because you can't go and teach when you have so many problems and the government cannot actually solve that for you as a lecturer. You can't pass any information to the student. And when you take, for instance, now you look at the budget of National Assembly and look at the budget of education. What does it tell you? Which is far more important. You understand? So we feel that this is actually done deliberately, because if a lot of Nigerians are educated, things would actually change for the better, because you can't be educated and still keep quiet when things are not going well. And if young men like us cannot come on media and voice out all these things without having to fear of any repercussion going to happen because we criticize or we say the truth of what is going there, then there's a problem as a country. Because we also have children. When we are kids, they used to say we are the future, the leaders of tomorrow. The leaders of yesterday hasn't even given way now for us to even think of. So things have to really come down and look at how it was before. Where did we get it wrong? Is actually this democracy good for Nigeria or not? Because if you look at before and now, you can't really tell what to believe anymore, because education is the backbone of every nation. We have seen where Malaysians then, when they're trying to develop, they take a lot of their citizens to UK and other places and specialize on particular courses, and they come back. Now where they are developed their country. You know, so why can't we have the same thing in Nigeria? We really have talented young men, vibrant. If you go to any country where students are Nigerians, you see them doing first. A third class NI in Nigeria can be a first class in Harvard. I'm telling you, I've studied abroad. I know, because we've seen how the results, and abroad you see anywhere, in any aspect, even in the United States, you see Nigerians are topping. Even in their, when you look at the doctors, whatever it is, you see our young men doing, making us proud.
All right, let's look at the issue of, just like Senator Ali Ndume did say, that Nigeria's political space, electoral process is deliberately made complicated to allow for manipulation. Do you agree with Ali Ndume on that front? And would you say it's been more difficult to elect credible Nigerians as leaders at the state level, even local government level, or as the presidency now than in the past?
Yeah, of course. It's true. You see, Ali Ndume is someone that I respect because he speaks with reasoning and because he has been in the system for quite some time. And you have seen what happened even previous months where he decided to speak out and how it backfired on him. A country where you cannot speak the truth without being fear of things or privileges being taken away from you is bound to fail as a country. What do they want us to believe? That we have to just go and lick everybody's shoes and whatever it is they throw at us, we don't have a say? You can't operate a country that you are saying we are all equal. You have freedom of speech, but you don't have freedom after that speech. You understand? So the political system, even the parties that produce these candidates, needs to do well in doing that, because I think the parties now have to start looking at those leaders that are actually partaking maybe some courses or whatever it is on leadership. Let them know and understand that this person they are giving, it's not just money he has for election, but he has the IQ. He knows what he's doing. It's not just by, if I go there, I'm going to give you this, I'm going to give you this position, this person is mine. No. It is because of that we are in this situation we are. You cannot come and give a former governor of a state that has nothing to do with, has no experience in defense, and give him a minister of defense and expect security to solve. I'd rather have a minister of defense in Lagos.
Are you talking about Bello Batawali?
No, I'm not talking about specific person. I'm just saying they are both ex-governors.
Okay. But the rule.
Yeah, they are both ex-governors, but in their CVs, they don't have anything. They don't have any experience in that aspect. So we have to look at the technocrat that are actually good in that. I will respect somebody from Lagos or Port Harcourt that actually has, that is very good in that aspect to lead, than my ex-governor or Jigawa State ex-governor. So a lot of these appointments that are wrongly made are not helping the president. Recently, we heard that he's trying to reshuffle now to try and correct some of the mistakes, but we don't think even at that is going to solve this problem. The problem now, most of the things are tied down to the difficulty and the hardship that is biting us, biting us, a lot of people, biting the grassroots people that can no longer, to eat now is seen as a luxury in Nigeria. If you can feed 3 times a day, you are a big person in Nigeria.
All right, still looking at the political parties, it's been said that in the past we had parties that had ideology. You could say this party had this ideology, and so it was easy for them to, within their party structure, produce very credible candidates who would represent not just the party, but the region, and on the national level, give good leadership to Nigerians. Do you see that as a major factor that is affecting political parties currently?
Yes.
And you are a member of the NNPP. Can you use that as a case study?
Of course. I don't think now the parties, the 2 major parties we have now, believe in their ideology. What is even their ideology in the first place? Because You see somebody now claiming to be in the PDP, and the next thing he will be singing and praising the current administration, and then jump back to the ruling party just because he felt he has to go there to make a living or whatever it is that he's after. And that is not good for the nation. We have to stand by our own ideology if we actually believe we can do better than whoever is at the moment. We don't see that now. People just run to the person that is on top now. They don't care what it is, their ideology or what they stand for. That has been the problem now. It's actually one of the biggest problems now we have. But in the case of our own party, NNPP, we have record there. We have a leader that we always believe his ideology are good. You know, he has always stand by the talakawas. You know, people that are nobody are having the chance to be somebody in life. You know, in terms of education and other aspects that he needs to actually thrive. But the day he joined any other party, I will cease to be with him myself, because that is what made me believe in him and even made me believe to be in that party that we are with him.
All right, thank you. We've been talking to Umar Yaguda, who is a member of the NNPP from Zamfara State, and we've been looking at Nigeria's journey in the last 64 years. We're currently be joined by Agoha Stella, who is a member of FIDA. We're talking about the Federation of International Lawyers there. A member she's joining us from Edo State too. Let's have a contribution as we x-rays Nigeria's 64th independence anniversary. Stella, thank you for joining us on the desk. Can you hear me? Hello, Stella, can you hear me? Stella, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
All right, we'd like to just get your take as regards how much you think the women folk have contributed in Nigeria's 64 years of nationhood. All right, we're trying to re-establish a contact with her so that we can get enough from the female perspective just to balance the gender. All right, let's continue. Still just wrapping up from the political aspect of Nigeria's 64 years of nationhood. Let's look at also the umpire now. We're talking about we had different umpires with different names. Now we've got the INEC. Judging INEC and the previous bodies that were responsible for producing very credible elections, not forgetting the 1993 elections and others. How would you judge the process of appointing the umpire for elections in the country? Do you think we did better in the past as to what we have currently?
You asked me a question that I think everybody knows the answer. Of course. You know, it's in everybody's mind now, whichever party you are, even in APC. I'm sure if I speak for a lot of people here, that INEC need to be reformed. If we are to go to polls in 2027, I think INEC need to be reformed, because you cannot, Nigerians don't have the right now to go and exercise their rights and vote and let it count. We have Vivas now that are being claimed that we are using Vivas. But at the end of the day, people will go and cast their votes, and the result will be announced, and then the Vivas carries different thing, and the INEC announce different thing. So we have to really reform the electoral system in Nigeria if we have any future in democracy here in Nigeria. Except if we are playing and we really don't want, we want to make Nigeria a one-party system, which is the ruling party now, and all of us now will have to go back there and fight it there. But believe you me, as it stands now, I don't see any hope for any party with the way INEC is running things now to say 2027 we're going to see what is.
So you don't believe they are independent?
They are independent, but not fully independent. Really not fully independent. I watched one interview where I think it was on Arise or some place where a former chief of staff to a governor was saying that they used to write result and tell INEC to announce it right there at the office. So when you have people coming out to talk like this, and now we are seeing what happened in Edo, you understand? We're seeing what is happening in Edo and other places that have happened. You don't expect...
Are you saying because the ruling party did win the elections, automatically meant the elections was flawed?
No, it's the situation that, unfolded surrounding it. We all see what happened. We all see how the race went on. And there are a lot of credible information as to what is on Vivas is different from what is actually announced in a particular polling unit and some of these places. You understand? So if we have to do better, if we have to see any different in 2027, we need to have INEC being reformed. That is going to show that the government really care about the people and the president is just. If we don't really have this, I don't think going to 2027 is even good for people to go and vote, because we all know how it's going to turn out to be. So that is my take, and that's what I believe is the heart of many people that I represent here sitting today.
All right, let's move on to another sector of our national life, which has to be the health sector. Before we go to the other sectors we have, how much would you classify the health sector in terms of what we had before, how effective medical quality health service was in the past compared to what we have now, even though we have more technology at our disposal?
My brother, don't just go and feel sick. Maybe go to emergency, because that's when you know if our health sector is good or not. Even here in Abuja, once you have an emergency and you're being rushed to the emergency ward, that day you will cry that Nigeria should have much, much better health institutions. That's the government institution. If you're talking about the private institutions, those ones are much expensive. Who can afford them? A lot of Nigerians cannot afford them. But the government ones needs to be reformed as well. That's why you don't see these big men going there or taking their family there, because they know that they can't rely on such institution to cater for their health needs. That's why they have to fly abroad. So automatically, before it's actually... See, whatever it is about Nigeria, we always think before is better than now. We don't have a comprehensive management system in all our sectors. And when you don't have good management, you cannot have a sustainable
development.
Yeah, in that regards, you cannot have it. If you cannot manage well your health sector, then it's bound to crumble. Education now, we have seen all of these things, we don't have good management, and because the funds that are being allocated to actually manage this have been siphoned by few. So, my brother, today is supposed to be a celebration day for us, but we have to also tell ourselves the truth. No matter how it's going to pain some people or how it's going to make us look like, the truth is that the reality is different, and what is coming on media or what the government is believed to be doing is actually different. A majority of people will agree with me that things are not right in Nigeria, and we can do better, and we have to actually do better.
All right, in case you're just joining us, is at the desk as we're looking at the analysis of Nigeria's independence journey in focus. And my guest has been Umar Yuguda from the NPP Zamfara State. And we'll be continuing this discussion after this quick break, and hopefully we'll also be having one other guest join us via Zoom so that the gender balance will be complete. Stay with us after this break. Is the desk on Global Television.
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momadou on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are definitely.
Can we not say that of them?
Because
that this country gets it right.
who are these bandits?
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
Is the desk on Global Television.
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momadou on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are definitely.
Can we not say that of them?
Because
That this country gets it right.
who are these bandits?
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
All right, welcome back from that quick break. You're still watching the desk on Global Television, and we're focusing on the analysis of Nigeria's independence journey so far, and it's in focus. My guest in the studio, Umar Yaguda, is still in the studio. We're being joined by Agoha Stella, a member of FIDA Nigeria, joining us from Edo State. Good evening, Stella. Thank you for joining us on the desk. I know the network is quite dodgy, but thank you for your efforts to ensure that you join us on today's edition. Let's look at the contribution of the women folk in Nigeria's 64 years of nationhood. Stella, we appreciate if you can unmute your mic so that we can hear you. Unmute your mic. All right, while we wait, we just would like to get your take as regards the contribution of the women folk in Nigeria's journey for the last 64 years. How much do you think the women have contributed in ensuring that Nigeria is where she is currently? All right, let's, while we're waiting for Stella to unmute her mic, let's refocus now to the issue of the National Assembly, because we've looked at the presidency, governance at the subnational level, and let's look at those at the National Assembly. Some have said in the past it was easier to get credible people to represent the people, but currently it looks like we have ex-governors dominating the National Assembly, the House of Representatives. How do you see this playing out?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Anthony. This is actually not good for the nation, because you can't have a sitting governor that's supposed to be doing something different now coming back to the Senate just because he wants to still be in the system for one reason or the other. We know some of these governors go there for protection against maybe whatever embezzlement they did during their tenure. And so that's not actually good. And most of this is largely because they have the funds to do so and they have the followers that will push them. But holistically, it's not healthy for the democratic system we have in Nigeria. Recently now, they are having more division in the House based on this bill that has been
for the regional.
Yes, regional government that has been introduced to say we're going to have regional government. I don't think that is going to help Nigeria at the moment. Instead of having regional government, why don't we have regional business economic development? To say that you cannot have somebody from Sokoto or Maiduguri and tell him to farm cassava. He doesn't know how to do that. He can't even farm cassava for you. That is for the West.
But wouldn't that still amount to regional government that you're saying you're not in support of?
Yeah, but what I'm saying, instead of regional government, we can do a regional economic development to say whatever any region specialize in producing, as in terms of agri or livestock or whatever it is, let the governors in those regions and the ministers and all the leaders in those regions invest and train our people in those so that we can have surplus. It happens in China. You can go to China and see this particular state is known for either furnitures, this one is known for perishable goods, this one is known for electronics, and that's how it is. Every other region will contribute its own quota as to what they are specializing. If you talk about livestock, the North is good in livestock, but they don't eat goats. They're good in cows and rams and sheep, but they don't eat goats. And that is left for the West to do. And if you look at poultry also, the West is good in the poultry. And then so many different things. Rice, maize, and all these things can contribute. So instead of having regional government, because some other regions are going to be actually backward. Now, why are we not talking about the crude oil being found in Gombe and some part of Bauchi and Maiduguri? It's not even in this government's agenda to do that, and we've seen that in the previous government. But now they're trying to say, okay, let's introduce regional government. That is not the solution. Instead of regional government, we are saying, let's have regional economic development where every region contributes and the governments in those regions actually put more effort in that economic aspect that they are very good at, so that they can have surplus of whatever it is to do. But you can achieve all these things, of course, without security. You cannot. Security is the number one thing biting us in the North, and things need to be really tight as to how they go about it.
In terms of security, in the past, like you rightly pointed out, Nigerians seem to have a more secure environment. What will you put it down to that made it possible for Nigerians to be safe and secure, regardless of what part of the country they were and where they were heading to? Can you put it down to the fact that there was employment for people, the cost of living was achievable?
Yeah, of course, and there's a fairness in governance. There's fairness in governance at that time. The leaders we have there are more people conscious and oriented. They feel for the common man, and so they bring policies that are really people's friendly, that help people to actually develop and achieve more. Even if you are not in the government working, you can actually do better. Now, you have a government where interest rates have been increased almost how many times in 1 year? Now the CBN alone is saying it's 27 point something percent. How can business thrive? Manufacturers are complaining. You can't have a business. Nobody can go to the bank now and borrow money just to go and do business and make it, because the bank are charging more than 35%, the commercial bank. You can't survive with this type of interest. We've seen government borrowing and borrowing and borrowing, just to come and increase interest. And again, the inflation is biting hard. You float your naira. Everything is just out of control at the moment. I'm sorry, but whatever it is they are seeing as a long-term goal they are after, I don't think with the current situation and how the things are biting us now, we can achieve that. No business can thrive with 27% from CBN and 35% or more from commercial bank. I don't see that happening. We've seen the government already now borrowed over 33 trillion within the space of 1 year and a half. And I'm being pumped this money back to the system to try and control the dollar and stable the naira. And that's why it's not working. Now dollar is around 1,700 because there is no actual production, increase in production or manufacturing. That is the only thing that will make the dollar actually go down. And now we've seen the fight now that is going on between the Dangote refinery and some sectional government agencies. We should be happy that Dangote refinery is here. At least it will take off more than 40% of the weight on dollar because of the logistics of bringing PMS and whatever it is from other part of the world. But we are seeing this now that the government agencies are actually having a fight with Dangote. And now who can come and invest when you cannot even support your own?
All right, let's move on to other sectors of our national life, away from politics, health, education sector, and all that. So let's look at, in terms of other issues like the sporting arena, and also probably a little bit of investment that you spoke about, having investors coming into the country, the cultural aspect of Nigeria. How would you assess Nigeria's sporting activities in the past, the cultural investment and enhancement of our culture? How will you assess those two sectors in comparison to what we had before?
Anthony, just say, what was the one term for this? There's no culture that I'm looking for, there's a word I'm looking for.
The heritage.
Tourist
attraction.
Tourist attraction. Nigeria is blessed with varieties of culture. There used to be time where we've seen different states celebrating, showcasing their cultural heritage.
National
cultural heritage. We don't see that happening now. At least this is one thing the government can do to lift some of this hardship, because when you bring people from different states to say, okay, come and showcase your culture, make it in a way that is going to attract visitors to come and see this, a lot of things will happen. You understand? I think in the north or in the south, it's only Calabar that we see they're trying in that aspect. But in my state, nobody has even time to talk about that anymore. And that is one revenue generation that is being wasted. You understand? We have to reintroduce cultural heritage back to the school system. We just have to do that. A lot of our young ones now don't even know history from their own parents, not talk about our grandparents or their ancestors. And that is actually lost over time. And that is, revenue generation. Look at Malaysia, they depend solely majority on tourism. They invest heavily in tourism just because they want people to come. Do
you think that has affected Nigeria's in terms of patriotism and Nigeria's love for the country?
Definitely. And that has to do with even our own ambassadors representing us in other countries. Nigerians need to realize that we have to respect ourselves and carry ourselves the way we want people abroad to carry us. You can't have other countries putting visa restriction on you and then letting their own citizens come and do whatever it is they feel like doing in your country. You don't do that. It's a tit for tat. You respect us, we respect you. Our ambassadors in different countries now, you see them, we have a lot of Nigerians in jail. Those who are being accused and the victims, and those who are actually guilty. A lot are there. They are rotting in those prisons. Nobody is doing anything about it. If you go to any embassy anywhere, example like in Malaysia, to get a passport there is like a tug of war. You as a Nigerian, you can't go to your embassy and complain and your ambassador will stand for you. So these are things that need to be looked at, and people have to have, orientation needs to be developed. We really have to be putting people that know what they are doing in the system.
All right, let's go for a very quick break. When we return from this quick break, we'll be wrapping up the program, The Desk on Global Television. Thank you for staying with us. We'll go for a quick break. When we return, we'll be wrapping it up as we look at an analysis regarding Nigeria's 64th independence anniversary. We're still focusing on Nigeria's 64th anniversary, and we've got finally got Agoha Stella joining us from Edo State, member of FIDA Nigeria. Hello, Stella. Thank you for finally making it on the desk.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, let's just quickly get your take as regards women's contribution to Nigeria's development over the last 64 years. Can you hear me? All right, I think we're having some audio challenges from Stella there. I guess we've done enough to ensure the women were part of the analysis on today's edition. All right, let's wrap up our conversation. Can we say there's hope for the future?
Yeah, of course. There's always hope. Human beings need to have hope. We can't say there's no hope for the future. If the government is willing to listen and actually listen to the aspiration and the yearning of its citizens as to what is the most important thing they need to actually do. Firstly, the interest rate is too much, and this is actually bad for business. I'm a business person myself, and there are thousands of businesses that have folded now because of this interest rate. Secondly, is let's have people go back to farm. Let people farm, at least sustainable farming, something they can even eat. Let's start there before we talk about commercial farming. And then let's look at our educational system holistically and then revamp the whole aspect in that educational system. Why can't we pay more to teachers? We have to, if we really want students to go and for them to have the best. We used to have days when teachers have all their expenses being covered by the government. Just go and teach. Housing, allowances, a lot of things they don't need to worry about. Let's have that again. You know, we can have, you can float your currency and remove subsidy and increase interest rates just because you want to get more revenue. At the end of the day, the revenue being generated is going into private pockets. We're not seeing the much needed development as we want. We're not seeing that. So things need to actually look, friendly to people and feel friendly to people. Let them go back to the drawing board and listen that look, we cannot do this at this time and we cannot do this at this time. Long-term development goals are not actually good for people right now. We need a quick intervention, and it's not palliatives. Palliative doesn't help. We don't see where palliatives being helped. Look at what's happened in Maiduguri. A lot of thousands and thousands of people are impoverished now in poverty.
All right, very sad commentary, but for the want of time, that's where we're going to call it a wrap on today's edition of the program, The Desk. I want to say a big thank you to my guest, Umar Yaguda, who is the NNPP Zamfara Central Senatorial District 2023 candidate, for joining me in the live studios and helping us look at the journey thus far, looking at Nigeria's independence journey in focus. All the same, the watchword is the fact that there's still a future and there's still hope for Nigeria. Happy independence, everyone. And my name is Anthony Momodu. Good evening.